Hello Internet, today I'll be showing you how dubstep drums work, or drums that relate to dubstep, drums that are used in whatever the frick you want to call them. So, before you watch the video, learn about Ableton Live, learn about the program, because I won't be explaining everything about it, I'll just be explaining, about dubstep drums, not much about the program, but some stuff, but I just suggest you do that before watching. Okay, let's start. Just gonna explain real quick that there's usually three ways to do this. Three ways that I know of. The first way would be using an audio track to do it. So all you need is an audio track and a kick drum sample, or any drum sample. But we're gonna start out with the kicks today because, I don't know, I like the kicks. So the way audio placing works, placing it with the audio, is you just continuously place the sample along the audio line throughout the song. And this way is probably superior to the other ways because there's a lot more flexibility when you do it. But it's not the way I do it, but it certainly gets the job done. Indeed, it's a very good way to do it. So you get the idea, you just place it along. You could space it out if you want. I mean, like, you could place it however you like, but usually keeping it in a pattern is the best way to do it. That's all you really need to know about that way. It's pretty simple. Next way will be my personal favorite way, using one of the instruments, one of the default instruments that Ableton Live comes with a MIDI clip. So there's two ways of doing this. Two ways that I've seen done. You could use an impulse instrument or a drum rack instrument. Both are good. So we're going to start out with the drum rack. So what you're going to do first is you're going to place the drum rack in the place where you drop the effects, audio effects, whatever you want in the MIDI clip. And the drum rack comes up like this. Can't speak today. And you just place your samples in the wherever you want them to. And I guess maybe if you place them in a different spot, it might result in a different sound because of the note. But I haven't really noticed anything different. You can place wherever you want. So you just make a MIDI clip like this. You should know how to do that because I told you to watch a video on the program. And you just place your samples in the place where you place notes. I don't know what it's called. You see, like that. So it's pretty simple if you know how it works. But like I said, I'm not explaining too much about it. The interface, I mean. So that's that way. But the cool thing about the drum rack is you could place multiple samples in the same MIDI clip when you have a drum rack. Like this. You could get rid of them, or keep them. You can place as many as you want. Well, actually, you can place a lot of them. I'm not sure what these do. I've never used them. I don't really care to know about them. But that's pretty much just what the drum rack is for. But now on to the one that I use. This is the impulse. It's the same sort of thing. You place your samples in these little spots here, but the difference between the drum rack and the impulse is that there's a lot more customization in the impulse. Like, you could change the decay of the drum samples. Yeah, you could make it pretty small. And you could change other things like volume, pan, frequency, drive, all this stuff. And it's quite nice. I like it a lot. I think it's one of the best ways to make drum beats with dubstep, at least, because you can customize a lot, and you need to customize your drum samples when making dubstep if you don't have them already. because I'm just making them from scratch. That's what I always do. So let's start. let's start showing you what the impulse does. So let's say I have a drum sample. It's pretty cool, right? But I don't think it's good enough yet to use for dubstep. Like maybe it's not prominent enough in the beginning that it'll show in the song. So maybe I want to get the beginning of another snare and see how that sounds with this one. See, it sounds pretty good alone, you know, but how's it sound with the other one? Pretty bad, but at least it's more prominent. So yeah, I hope you understand what I mean by customizing it. I can make the volume lower, but why would I frickin' want to do that? yeah, I know why I'd want to do that. Okay, so that's the second way. Now the third way, you could just add no instruments that Ableton Live comes with and just add a freaking sample to the MIDI clip. I never do this, but you could actually do a lot with the kick. It has a lot of customization, same thing with the impulse, but it comes with a whatever it's called. I forget this thing's called. ADSR something. I forget its name, but it's you can change the sound of the kick or drum that you put in there, and it's quite nice. You could do a lot of it. Like, I'll show you what I mean. Usually you go down to a lower or octave because it's a kick drum. Wow, that's really freaking low. Yeah, let me loop this. Yeah, I just messed up the kick drum like an idiot. So here, let's customize it a bit. Get the attack up there, and that just ruins it. So if you actually know something about these ADSR things, then you'll know how to use them. I've learned about them, so I know how to use them. But it's not a very good way to do it. The patterns, I don't really like doing it, but it's definitely a good way to, you know, customize your drum samples. So that's kind of cool. If you want to make like custom drum samples, you could do that. Just use this as the customizing thing. I don't use any like external plugins to customize my samples. I just kind of do it in the program. So now that we know the three ways that we could use the kick drums or make drum patterns, I'll show you the other drums real quickly. So let me just do what I usually do, make a MIDI clip and use an impulse, because that's what I like doing best. And now that we've shown you the kick, we're going to show you a snare. Now snares are a bit more difficult to customize, in my opinion. You have to work a little bit harder on them. But pretty much what you want is what I'm about to show you. I made this snare. It's the one snare I've made, and I use it quite a lot because it's a very good snare. I like it. It's just, that's the kind of sound you want for a snare. It's one of the, you know, very good snare sounds you would want. But there's other good snare sounds that sound nothing like that, I suppose. There's a lot of different combinations, but you have to really customize snare samples to make them good, if you know what I'm saying. So we have this. That's the snare sample, and we're gonna try getting another one. Here, let's try doing this. This isn't going to work out well at all, but we'll try it. So, with and without the sample, we're just customizing it to make it nice. Maybe if I lower it a bit. You know, it doesn't sound too bad. So that's the basic idea behind customizing the snares. You just you know, combine them or do whatever you want with them. You could add effects to like one sample, which also works. And now that we're done with that, it's a small little review, I suppose. I already taught you how all that works. So another thing you want to do with snares is usually you want to add a reverb, which is like an echoey sort of thing that makes it sound like it's in a large room or something. And most drums in dubstep have this. It's a very nice feature of Ableton. It comes with a nice little reverb. Reverb VST. So you want to use that usually. I'm not going to show you how the reverb works. I'm just going to show you what it sounds like with the snare. So without the reverb, with the reverb, it sounds a lot better, as you could hear. So that sounds pretty similar. So the reverb, you always should use that when making a snare pattern, because it's important. Another thing you should, use sometimes if you want to really customize your snares, use an equalizer, which is, I don't have a valid definition of it. I'll explain it in a later video when I'm explaining like this stuff in Ableton. So I'm not going to show you how it works. I'm just going to kind of do my thing with it, and you'll see the difference. Okay, that's very nice. It gives a very good sort of sound. I don't know how to describe it. It just sounds better, I suppose. So I'll show you EQing and using the reverb later, but that's the idea behind snares as well. Customize it, add effects, stuff like that, make it sound like it's good for dubstep. So now that we learned about the two different kinds of main drums that are in dubstep, I'll teach you about cymbals in a second. We'll do a little pattern with it. A pattern with the kicks and the snares. The usual dubstep pattern that is used almost always. Almost always. So we're going to get a drum sample. I'm not even going to customize it. I'm just going to freaking get one. Oh yeah. I don't really like that one, but I'm using it anyway. So usually the pattern for dubstep is kick, snare, and it's kind of it. It's kick, snare. It's like this. It's not, fast or anything unless you're doing drum and bass. It's just sort of that slow little pattern, basic. But you could do other things to the pattern if you so desire to. You can spice it up a little bit by maybe messing around with what the crap did I freaking do? You could like make the snare a little different by adding a thing at the end, adding another one at the end for the fourth one. Here, I'll show. So here I'll show it. I mean, it's like kick, snare, kick, snare, kick, snare, kick the end snare. So it's a bit exotic. So I'll let you hear it. So it sounds good. You could do it. You could do it whatever way you want, but it's probably a good idea to make your snares a bit exotic. Snares and kicks exotic. So we understand the frickin' kicks and the snares now. We got it. But now we're moving on to another important part of the drums. The cymbals. Usually you could do this one of two ways. If you have sample packs, you could use like cymbal loops. Like this. Here, I'll show you. So like that. Usually sample loops are good if you want to be lazy, or maybe if you just want to not do it with impulse. And I'll show you. I'll do it by impulse now, using impulse, because that's just a manual way to do it. I'm sure a lot of you would want to do that. I don't know why, but frickin'. So, you have your impulse, you load up some symbols, some symbol samples. If I haven't told you already, I'm using Vengeance sample packs because they're nice. So, maybe you want to load up a couple. A few samples. Because usually you want to work with a few. Unless you want to make a really stupid pattern. Okay, so let's try this. I'm just gonna... First of all, we're gonna start off with a stupid little... Crap, am I making this? I wonder if I'm making this too fast or not. We just start out with a very basic symbol pattern. I'm sure all of you have heard of this one. Because it's basic as dump. It's like, here, it sounds like this. Yeah, it's nothing special, but mess around with your snares, make them sound good. So you could maybe like do this, put some small snare samples, like make very short snare samples in between your longer snare samples that aren't even that long. But you know, it's about improv, this stuff. Unless you have something in mind, just improv it up. I mean, go for it. I know what I'm doing because I just thought of it, but I thought of this, and this is how it sounds if you like place the little ones in between. Yeah, sounds pretty good, huh? Better than what it was before. So you know, same thing with the symbols. You can customize them if you want. Frickin' decay, volume, whatever you want. You can also add a reverb if you want. That's always a nice thing. Make it a reverb because it usually sounds better. Okay, let's see how it sounds with reverb. Yeah, sounds pretty good, huh? So, those are symbols. We know that. So now that we have a basic drum beat for dubstep, let's try placing a bass loop in this shizzle. Oh yeah. Yeah. So it sounds good. We know how to make what the frick am I saying? Dubstep drums. So thank you for watching. If you have any suggestions of what I should do next, if you stuck on something, any specific need to know something, just write it in the comments. I'll probably do it because I have nothing else to do. Okay, goodbye. Now where the frick is the Camtasia button?